The
Observe
classroom
the proper
smelled
hand
like
placement
ammonia
for
and burnt
CPR.
copper,
Press down
perfectly
firmly
normal
about 2
for a
inches deep.
facility housing
Keep a steady
43
rhythm.
different species. Holographic star maps rotated lazily above curved desks where students from across 6 solar systems reviewed their medical ethics coursework. Professor Vreel, a tall insectoid from the Marin cluster with 6 articulated arms and compound eyes the color of amber, called the room to attention by clicking his mandibles twice. Today, he announced, we observe a live demonstration of standard emergency response protocols. Our guest instructor comes from a Class 4 Deathworld. A ripple of unease moved through the students. Several Florians, plant-based beings who communicated through color shifts, turned a nervous shade of yellow. The small quivy in the back row made a sound like a shaken tin can. Everyone knew what a Class 4 Deathworld meant. High gravity. Extreme temperature variance. Predators on every continent. Microbes that could dissolve titanium. And somehow, the dominant species had not only survived but thrived. The door opened. In walked Staff Sergeant Marcus Webb, United States Army Ranger, currently on medical exchange program with the Galactic Coalition. He was 6 feet 2, built like a cargo loader, and carrying a duffel bag that clanked with suspicious metallic sounds. He dropped the bag on the table. "All right," Marcus said, cracking his knuckles. "Who wants to learn some first aid?" The volunteer was a quivy named Pip, small, round, with translucent skin through which its 4 hearts were clearly visible. Pip had a minor simulated injury loaded into its bio-suit, a laceration on its outer membrane. Marcus looked at it. Nodded once. Then reached into his bag and pulled out a roll of tan-colored cloth tape. "Field dressing," he said simply. Professor Vreel leaned forward. The standard coalition procedure for a membrane laceration involves 17 microinjections of bonding serum, followed by 3 days in a sterile environment under UV treatment. "Yeah," Marcus said. "We do this." He wrapped Pip's arm in 4 tight circles, secured the end with his thumb, and tore the tape with his bare hands. The class went dead silent. A Florian named Blossom shifted from yellow to deep violet, the equivalent of a dropped jaw. "You tore it," Blossom pulsed. "With your body." "Hands," Marcus corrected. "Yeah. Human skin contains sufficient tensile strength to tear synthetic polymer weave medical tape." Professor Vreel asked slowly, pulling up data on his tablet. "Apparently." Marcus moved to the next demonstration. He pulled out a small orange kit, unzipped it, and removed a white packet. He tore it open with his teeth. 4 students made distress sounds simultaneously. "What is that?" asked Zorro, a 6-limbed Keth whose species communicated partially through scent. He was emitting something that translated roughly to deep existential alarm. "Antiseptic wipe," Marcus said. He pressed it against the simulated wound on the practice dummy. "Kills bacteria. Stings like crazy. You push through it. You apply caustic chemical agents directly to open wounds." Professor Vreel's 6 arms all moved at once, a gesture that meant pure disbelief. "Yep. While the patient is conscious?" "Usually." Blossom had turned white. "That was the Florian color for I have made a terrible mistake coming here today." Marcus then demonstrated chest compressions on a human-shaped dummy, pressing down nearly 2 inches at a rate of 100 per minute. The sound. A rhythmic, meaty thud thud thud, filled the room. "You are compressing the cardiac organ," Zorro said faintly. "Restarting it." "By hitting it." "By compressing it." Rhythmically. The room had not recovered when Marcus pulled out a tourniquet. He demonstrated application on his own arm, pulling the strap tight until his forearm visibly changed color, then twisting the rod until he grunted slightly. "This cuts off blood flow to the limb," he explained calmly. "Stops you from bleeding out. Hurts. You deal with it." Pip made a sound like a tea kettle. "What is the patient's psychological state during this procedure?" Professor Vreel asked carefully. Grateful to be alive, mostly. Later, Zorro found Blossom outside in the corridor. She was still pale. I looked it up, Zorro said quietly. Humans have been doing this for thousands of years. Before they even had proper medicine. They were using boiling liquids and sharpened rocks. Blossom pulsed a slow, dark green, the color of horrified respect. Inside the classroom, Marcus sipped his bag, nodded at Professor Vreel, and headed for the exit. Sergeant Webb, Vreel called after him. Marcus paused. How does your species remain so calm through all of this? Marcus considered the question with the same expression a man might use when asked why water was wet. We've been dying since the beginning, he said. We just got really good at not finishing. He walked out. The amber in Professor Vreel's compound eyes dimmed slightly, the Marin equivalent of a shiver.